Good afternoon on this Victory Monday. Best show ever here on 97.5 The Fanatic, NBC Sports Philadelphia. 610-632-0975 is the number to participate. Oh, it feels good. Let's get right to our opening statements. Start with the word of the day, and the word of the day today is command, because the Eagles were in complete command of that game, and contrary to what the quote-unquote worldwide leaders trying to gaslight to make us believe, they're in command of the conference too. 11-1 now, Philadelphia Eagles, and it was such a good victory because every question that some fraud fans here and other people around the country had got answered. Now, just a few weeks ago when they lost to Washington, we had to deal with a bunch of people talking about, look at this gauntlet of running backs you're going against coming up. Yeah, they had that under control. They had full command of the game. There wasn't a single moment in the game where I thought they would lose. Not a single moment. Watching that game was like a spa day. Watching that game was like hanging out with your buddies back when you're like 10 years old, and you're the age where you can kind of play by yourself without your parents watching you all the time. That sense of freedom and joy that you have as a young kid, where you're now allowed to maybe, you don't have to ask to go to the edge of the block. That's how it felt. Just free. Just freedom and fun. That's what that game was. They were in complete command of everything. They ran the ball last week against the Packers. They passed the ball this week. Because I noticed people, well, if you keep running that way, if you keep trying to run or you do what you have to do week by week because you have a dynamic offense. You have an excellent offensive line. They can run block and pass block. So you do what's necessary on that given day, and that's what they did on the offensive side. Jalen Hurts answers his historic day, running and passing, but more running last week, with a great game through the air, putting the ball exactly where it needed to be time after time after time. We mentioned it. You knew he was going to have this chip on his shoulder going against his ex-team. A.J. Brown steps right in there, does the fake belt. You got to take that whooping. And boy, did he administer a whooping onto the Titans. Their offense looks like they need A.J. Brown. Who would have thunk that getting rid of A.J. Brown or getting rid of a good player could hurt your offense? And then on the defensive side, remember, that gauntlet of running backs. Now they're 3-0 against the gauntlet with Saquon coming up. Oh, no, what is ever going to happen? Oh, they lost to Washington once. You know these teams now, they're going to copy the blueprint. The blueprint. All right, you are not Jay-Z. You better cut it out with the blueprint. All right? There's no blueprint to facing this team when they have everything going. There's no blueprint. Okay? There is no blueprint. Okay? A team got lucky once. That was the blueprint. The Eagles made a bunch of mistakes to help a team, and then they got some bad calls and they lost the game. There is no blueprint. All right? You are not Jay-Z. You're not Blueprint. You're not Blueprint 2. You're not Blueprint 3. You are no. They held the vault. Oh, my God, Derrick Henry, I'm so afraid. 3 yards a carry, longest run 6 yards. 3 yards a carry, longest run 6 yards. Control that. And then the special teams. We've been talking about that. Now, that was real. Tighten that all the way up. Tightened it all the way up. This is what they decided to do. That's what he did. That's what he decided to do. They finally got it at Michael Clay, took care of that business. Britton Covey, how dare you guys talk about Britton Covey? How dare you guys talk about Britton Covey? How dare you? I mean, I don't know who was doing that. He was excellent yesterday. He was excellent. 3 of his returns last night were career longs. This is what happens when the command of the situation, from the coach down through the quarterback, down through the players, everything's on all cylinders. Nothing feels better than a victory Monday. And let me tell you something. I'm going to say it right now at the top of the program. This right here is the best Eagles team I've ever seen. Hunter Brody, how are you?
I'm feeling great. I really want to look at the coaches because I thought the coaching staff, obviously the players executed on the field and that matters, but you talk about the week heading into the action and they set the tone. And the coach without Dallas Goedert a few weeks back, heavy tight end packages. We're going, what the hell are they really doing right now? And each week you're seeing them look more comfortable. It really is just giving them a highlight that they've figured it out as the weeks went on, what they could do in the passing game without one of the best tight ends in all of football. And they didn't overthink like this. You saw the Titans had weaknesses in their corners, and you attacked. Yes, the Eagles can run the ball very well, but we see it throughout the league every single week. What are the coaches doing? Why are they overthinking? I think they're trying to do too much. They stayed simple. They didn't worry about it too much. They simplified their game, and they just used Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown, and they had over 100 yards each. It's just ridiculous what they did, and that's including all the false starts. And I'm not worried about that long term. That seemed more of like an outlier, weird, strange game. The refs were awful too, both sides. But yeah, I'm not worried about the false starts as a problem as this team moves forward or anything. It just shows you it's crazy that they had the offensive success. The first drive, 2 false starts, one from Kelsey and Lane. Your pros, and then you have the timeout usage. Not a worry in the world for this quarterback because he's the MVP of the league. I want to shout out Brian Johnson. I don't think we really talk about him a lot. A lot of it, too, is Jalen Hurts, the quarterback. Without his mental makeup, I don't think you're here. But he is the quarterback's coach. And I think we talked about this before the season began. A good relationship between those two. And last year, all these guys were wide open, and you could see Quez or Devontae with their hands up deep down the field. You don't see that anymore. Instead, it's right on the money, and A.J. Brown is securing it off the shoulder with a 0% separation. It doesn't even make sense how he was able to do that. So just awesome. And then, of course, Jonathan Gannon. All right, we talked about this on Friday, on Football Friday. It's simple. You take away their run, and you're going to be okay. And with Ryan Tannehill, it was frustrating to see him get a couple runs, but you knew long term, if that's what he was going to do, use his legs, and he would have to throw their way to victory, you were going to win by the time it was all said and done. I can't believe this offense went on a 9-minute and 51-second drive in the second half. They are just so dominant, and it's a beautiful watch.
This offense is clicking on all cylinders. This is the best team in football, not the best team in the NFC. This is the best team in football. Book your hotels, book your flights, get all the tickets you possibly can for the Super Bowl, because I really believe this team's going to end up there. When you look at how good they are offensively, and you brought up Dallas Goedert, I think that's a bump. I think it was a speed bump, and they've gotten over that. They understand exactly what they need to do. The weapons on this offense are just too much for any defense in the league. Because what do you do? Think about this for a second. You're going defensively against the Eagles. We talk about defensively against other teams. You go defensively against the Eagles. What do you try to stop first? You don't. They are the best balanced attack in football, and that's what makes them so great, because we saw Devonta Smith get in on it. We saw A.J. Brown in on it. You need a couple yards here, you give it to Sanders. Everybody had something to do with that win yesterday, and I'm going to go to adjustments. I love talking about adjustments, and the one thing that we have tried to blast Gannon on is certain things about the running game coming up against the Eagles. You know what impressed me the most about this? I'm no scout, but I watched Henry in the last couple weeks, and what you need to do is hit him low. I was fortunate enough to go to that game yesterday with my daughter, Olivia. It was fantastic. But what I noticed in the first quarter, they were going after his legs. How do you stop a big guy? You go after his bottom half. That's exactly what the Eagles did. Great coaching job by Jonathan Gannon. And whoever we blast this week, you're going to have a great game, because we criticized Britton Covey about as much as we possibly could last week. He comes up with 3 really good run backs. And in my opinion, this team is made up of those adjustments. And they have been doing a hell of a job week in, week out, making adjustments. And even in game. I mean, the game was a little close early on, but I thought defensively they tightened up. Like you said, it was Ryan Tannehill running for, 10, 15 yards on third down. After that, it was all third and longs, and Tannehill had nowhere to go after that first quarter.
Yeah, he ended up with Tannehill had 34 yards rushing on 3 carries.
The first 2 were for 25, I think.
Yeah, the long one he had was 17, and that was that. Derrick Henry again, 11 carries, 30 yards. 2.7 yards per carry for the blueprint. Best show ever, 610-632-0975. What a day is command. Boy, does it feel good to be an Eagles fan. It feels, it's glorious. It's like a warm bath if you're into sitting in the bath, which is, I don't know how to feel about sitting in the bath, because sitting in your own whatever is kind of shaky for me. But 2 o'clock hour brought to you by Ferguson HVAC Line Conklin. Because attention HVAC contractors for equipment, parts, and supplies for every heating and cooling job. Visit one of Ferguson's counter locations in Ben Salem, King of Prussia, Pensacola, where I grew up, or Westchester today. And now time for the Twitter poll with Jen Scordo. Hello, Jen.
Hello there. So what encouraged you the most about the Eagles' domination over the Titans yesterday? 3 answers you can choose: special teams improvement, run defense, or the passing game. Early votes has run defense winning at 47% right now.
All right.
Are you surprised by the passing game? Because I thought that they could demolish teams in the passing game.
No, but there were some people that called last week saying that the running that they did was a negative somehow. And then we got some guy like Craig. Not to be negative, but you know what's coming when somebody says this. Not to be negative, but none of the above. Titans stink. Need to keep getting better before Christmas. Dallas will be the test.
The Titans don't stink. The Eagles dominated so much, they made the Titans look like a useless football team.
Minnesota's 10-2 now. How'd they look when they played the Eagles?
Minnesota's 10-2. Have you watched some of their games?
Well,
Seriously, have you watched some of their games? It's like get up early and let every team back in the game. Every single game of theirs. They're not pretty wins by that team. Dallas, okay, they scored 33 points in the fourth quarter against a really bad Colts team. I mean, when you really think about it, is Dallas probably number 2 in the NFC right now?
I think they're third.
Behind who?
Minnesota. I think Minnesota's better than. I'm not impressed with that.
They're in the same tier
They
for me.
spanked Minnesota.
Okay,
didn't they?
Yeah, but that was a game. To me,
one game doesn't mean.
I'm just saying, but I mean, if you're going
Washington better than the Eagles?
Washington. No.
Washington beat the Eagles. Like, you can't just go by head to head. I got to go by the whole thing. If
I got a quarterback that I tried. He just threw for 380 yards. Didn't even play the fourth quarter because it was Minshew time after rushing for 157. I don't care who you're throwing our way. When you got the special quarterback, you're in position to win.
It's first and then second, third are way down. Do you know what I mean? I mean, the Eagles are so much higher on a pedestal right now in my eyes than all these other NFC teams. That shouldn't even be an issue. Dak Prescott will choke when the time comes like he normally does.
And truth be told, San Francisco was the team I worried about the most. And then, even though it hurt me in fantasy, and I'm not glad, I'm not from Toronto, so I'm not glad when players get hurt. But Jimmy G getting hurt, it craters their chances. It just craters their chances, San Francisco, to do anything without that Jimmy G. The good thing is, he'll find a couple ladies to help him. None he can take is good because he'll be in the house. He'll be in the house.
He'll make it through.
That's where he needs to be with them. With a lot of the ladies he likes. They don't go outside with him. Come on, man. But it just all lines up for him. It all lines up for him. It just, they're really good. They're really good. And we're going to do this every week now with certain people like that Craig guy. So we can't have it both ways. It can't be, oh no, they lost to Washington. It can't be that on the one side. Then when they kick those teams' butts, then say, oh, well, those teams stink. We can't have it both. It's one or the other. Either these games matter or they don't.
You can't say every team stinks in the league. Right. You can't say that.
Every team they beat, oh, well, they stink. Well, hold on. You into the game, what about Derrick Henry? Then they beat him, and then it's, oh, well, they stink. It can't be both. And that's why I get frustrated. Because I'm happy. I'm in a good mood. If your uncle had pedals, what would he be? He'd be a bicycle.
I normally go with a different one, but I don't know if you can say that in this era.
I say the one you can say in this era, okay? If your uncle had pedals, he'd be a bicycle. Now,
how do you ride it? There's no wheels.
It would be wheels. If he had pedals, of course he's going to have wheels. Who would have pedals with no wheels?
A pedal with a chain.
You can't have that. And it's an e-bike. Like, your uncle would be an e-bike. Like, but he's not. So they're 11-1. They have now shut down. They have now 3 games in a row controlled the running game. So now, should I just believe that maybe, just maybe, Gannon's system is by design many times, like we've been trying to say. It's not that they didn't have players necessarily to stop the run, especially once they picked up Joseph and Sue. It was within Gannon's system. He prefers to give up the run more than the pass because he's definitely afraid of big plays. But he knew that Tennessee, like the Giants coming up, can't really make big plays in the passing game, so he was able to sell out to stop the run. I tell you what, I would do the same thing against the Giants. Make them have to throw the ball downfield because I'm not going to let Saquon beat me. There's not that many teams that are two-dimensional the way the Eagles are, where the Eagles, Sanders can get you 100, or Hurts can get you 100, or he could throw for 380 in the air. Very few teams have what the Eagles have.
I'm just stunned. I'm stunned that we're sitting here with the growth and development of Jalen Hurts. We thought that there would be tons of improvement because of his work ethic and the way he loves the game, and he's just so focused on that. He's addicted to the sport. But we went from, think about where we were last season at the end when Todd Bowles forced him to go to the left. He was missing guys nonstop. He couldn't throw it on target. There were so many guys were being missed because he couldn't read the field. And now we're talking about him being better than Mahomes this season. It's remarkable.
That's a good word for it. The guy, tell me that guy doesn't have the whole offense under his command.
The one thing that's impressive to me about this offense is doesn't matter the down distance. They have a play for everything, and there's no panic. When you have a quarterback that's not going to panic when it's 1st and 18, I think you're in pretty good shape because he has a knowledge of where they need to be on third to get to 3rd and short. I mean, a lot of guys would try to pick up all that yardage in one play. He knows he doesn't need to. He knows he has weapons that if he makes the right plays, it could go for a big play. But you'll take the 6-7 yards on 1st down and then work your way up so you have 3rd down and manageable. But I haven't seen too many guys besides Patrick Mahomes that could control an offense like he does right now.
It's incredible. It is. 610-632-0975. Let's go to the phones. Jose in Gilbertsville. You're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Jose?
What's going on, Tyrone? What's going on, Jen? Hi, Ricky. Hi, Hunter. So, I like the word command. I want to give grades to everybody on the team. I think offensive line gets an A. Mm-hmm. Defensive line gets an A. Mm-hmm. Special teams, they finally stepped up. I'll give them an A. And Mr. Jalen Hurts, A++++. I think we need to etch his name on the MVP trophy right now.
How's everyone doing?
I think anybody who wants to play the Eagles should be scared. They're professional football players. They are paid millions of dollars to do their job. And if you come into Philly, you better be scared right now. If you're playing the Eagles, you better be scared right now. We are dominating with the air, with the legs. Jalen Hurts is just on fire right now. I'm pumped up. Let's go.
I will say this much, being at the game, you know, after a run, they showed like the running back. Derrick Henry did not look very confident in the first quarter. First quarter, he looked like he was taken out of his game already. That tells you a lot about what that Eagles defensive line did yesterday early on in that ball game. You take away him, you took away the whole team.
He was their entire offense, and you got to give the most credit to. So I want to double check this because sometimes you want to check if the stats match the eyes. Boy, that Hargrave was living in the backfield. He played the most snaps, but he only had to play 51% of them. Thanks for the call, Jose. He just felt like, I know he had to sack a couple times. It felt like Hargrave was in that backfield an awful lot in the game. Even when he wasn't making the tackle, he was making he's a guy who likes to build up steam. But if you get in the backfield, he's having to go step laterally before he can get vertical. And that helped a great deal with him not being able to get his momentum. So a lot of credit, I think, has to go to him. And then there was a couple sets. You only saw a little bit of it where they put Joseph on the nose. And then they had Davis playing or outside of him. Boy, that's a lot of man to have to move. That's a lot. You're going to need a front-end loader. You need a forklift. You're going to need a front-end loader or something to move that.
That's a lot of weight.
That's a lot to have to move. You got some big dudes in there.
Reddick went off. Josh Sweat had a couple moments.
N'Kobe Dean. How about 15 plays? He only played 15 plays. He had 6 tackles.
We were saying that sooner or later, people were like, give it time. Like, when Kazir White is gone this year, at the end of this year, he goes and signs somewhere else for money. Dean's going to step right in and start linebacker.